Damn it. I shook it and tried again. Nothing. I swapped out the batteries. Still nothing. I ripped open my aqua tabs and threw one in. I shoved my jacket and broken steri pen back into my pack and shouldered it just in time to see the man I'd passed at Rock Creek coming up the trail. We climbed in silent unison a switchback apart. He slowly gained on me until we crested the ridge together and, in unspoken agreement, headed for a sun-drenched log nearby. "Climbing Whitney?" he asked as I took off my jacket, gloves, and hat. "No, not this time." I crammed an entire granola bar into my mouth, not caring how rude it was. "You've hiked the PCT before?" He pulled some trail mix out of his nearly empty food bag. I nodded and picked my pack up. "Well, enjoy your hike." I struggled to swallow most of the food in my mouth. "You too." I turned and headed down toward Crabtree Meadow in the John Muir Trail junction. Now in the sun, the verdant meadows seemed welcoming, rather than clammy. Mounts Chamberlain, Newcomb, Hitchcock, and Whitney, the highest mountain in the lower 48, towered above me as I strode northward. The gray granite was austere, softened by the water, snow, and vegetation that had been lacking over the previous 750 miles. I crossed Crabtree Creek and merged with the John Muir Trail. From here, the Pacific Crest Trail would run concurrent with this much older trail for over 100 miles through the valleys and passes of the High Sierra. I rolled through the unique landscape south of Forester Pass, marveling at the bleached white rocks and sparse pine trees dotting the terrain. There is more water here than in all of Southern California's PCT combined. As I reached an open rocky basin, I slid back into my shell jacket. The intense solar radiation at over 11,000 feet seared my skin, despite the sunscreen I'd slathered on. Ahead of me lay a seemingly impenetrable wall of rock. However, because I'd been there before, it was easy to pinpoint the tiny notch where the trail went through Forester Pass. It seemed impossible that the Pacific Crest Trail could take you there, yet I knew that it did. I picked my way through melt pools and rocks, searching for trail, as I crossed occasional snow patches. The path curved due east, and then began to switch back up through solid rock. My watch beeped, and I reached into my pack for something to eat. My hand encountered a large squishy bag. I pulled out the gallon Ziploc that contained a pound of peanut butter and 20 ounces of grape jelly and bit one corner off. I squeezed some of the contents into my mouth like piping frosting. This is like eating the world's biggest gel pack. As I climbed, I marveled at the engineering difficulties this route must have presented as the CCC blasted the John Muir Trail into place decades ago. The narrow path was literally etched from the side of the cliff by dynamite. I pushed myself upward, even though gravity fought to pull my pack backward. Altitude made my heart race and my head ache, but I knew that pushing through minor altitude sickness was what it would take. I had to not only reach the top of this pass, but also drop 2,500 feet and ascend 1,200 more in order to cross Glen Pass, which was still 12 miles away, by nightfall. I dropped into a heap beside the sign marking the top of the pass at 13,153 feet, the highest elevation of the entire PCT. I sucked wind for a few seconds, happy to see that there was a well-beaten path through what little snow remained on the north side. After eating a snack, I set out toward the valley below, laughing, plunging, and sliding through slushy snow. Climbing was difficult with the lack of oxygen and increased pack weight, but playing in the snow and slip-sliding down from the pass was not. In the transition zone from snow to bare earth, the trail meandered past jewel-blue pools formed from the melt. No doubt they'd all vanish as summer wore on. The miles along Bubbs Creek before the turnoff for Glen Pass elapsed effortlessly. I turned right and trudged upward, dreading the long climb. Along the way, I paused briefly to gaze down at Charlotte Lake. Late afternoon light sparkled across its surface, and all around me the pine trees glowed. I drank in the glorious gold-lit basin, basking in the beauty that had entranced John Muir himself. I reeled my mind back in from the vista when the trail rounded a bend and I tripped on uneven rocks. I fell, banging my knee. Cursing aloud at the impact, I wished for the 100th time I had trekking poles. I couldn't believe that I'd hiked the entire Triple Crown without them and hardly ever taken a tumble.